Those who have been around me long enough know that I'm super awkward. I have absolutely no problem embarrassing myself, and I'm okay with it. I mean, I literally played a duck in a school play and wore my costume to school on opening day as any theater kid does. Except I didn't just wear the tutu with the feathers on it and the yellow leotard. I put on the full body paint and duckbill. See, the duckbill was not pictured here because this was back when you had to take a picture off a digital camera and upload it. So searching for a picture that's 12 years old was a little difficult. But I walked around the entire day, including a trip to Chipotle for a pre-show burrito, literally painted yellow. But I did figure out how to eat a burrito with one of those stage glued prosthetic duckbills on, so I at least need a little bit of credit for that. See, in singing, playing games, or in theater, I had no problem pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. But sports, not my thing. I am absolutely not competitive at all, and I lack the confidence to even try, because I am worried about looking bad or silly. Funny coming from Duck Girl, I'm sure. But most of my friends are athletic. You play a game with Tanner, Elijah, or my husband Caleb, it will be a no mercy demolition of a game. They're super welcoming for everyone to come and play, but they're not going to go easy on you. See, me and Ellis are usually inside in the AC as any sane person would be. But on the mission trip this summer, for whatever reason, I decided to go for it and play Ultimate Frisbee. I did not know how intense and exhaustive this game was that I had got myself into, but they pushed me to try something new. See, I'm terrible at Frisbee, but everyone always plays at student events, and I wanted to learn. I wanted to grow in a new area, and I knew that my friends would help push me to do it. Now, I was nearly not the best player in that game, and honestly, I was the worst. But I had a ton of fun, sweat a bunch, and I did something new. And this is what real friends helped me to do. I was pushed outside of my comfort zone to expand and to grow. Now look, friends may not push you to the brink of heat exhaustion in a small town in West Virginia throwing a frisbee, but they could teach you a new skill like playing an instrument or figuring out that algebra formula that looks the exact same as every other formula you have seen that year, or maybe they can help you understand a situation that you're going through. But what does it feel like to see a new perspective that your friend has to offer? To learn that new skill? I know when I had to learn how to play Ultimate Frisbee, actually, first of all, I had to learn how to throw a frisbee. It is not easy. You let go too late and it goes flying in the complete wrong direction. You forget to move your finger off the edge fast enough, it's gone. And you throw it just slightly too low, it's going to eat the dirt. See, frisbee requires a little bit of finesse that I don't have. So my friends taught me how to get the most basic throw to get the disc from A to B. I mean, I could handle that, you just toss it. But you mix in people running after you, trying to block you and jumping around you and smacking the disc out of your hand when you're trying to toss it, sweat pouring into your eyeballs, causing them to burn, all while remembering that you can only take 2 steps after you get the thing, and who the heck is even on your team? Okay, I may be dramatizing that just a little bit, but the idea of learning something from our friends sounds really fun when we're talking about learning to throw or play Ultimate Frisbee, or even riding a hoverboard, which Elijah did teach me actually a couple years ago, but I thought you could just jump off like this, But in all the fail videos, you put one weight on the other side, you go flying off. Yeah, I did. I landed flat on my back on this tile floor in here, actually, in front of the entire staff. It was really fun. But see, learning from our friends when it gets a little bit more uncomfortable when you're talking about the mistakes that you've made, maybe the ways that you've hurt them, or the places in your life that maybe you need a little bit of guidance. I know I've gone to Elijah specifically on things that I did not want to hear, but I know that I needed to. Or when I was upset with him or thought that he was upset with me. And I did this knowing that he wasn't going to go anywhere. He wasn't just going to stop being my friend because we had a disagreement. And he knew that I could take what he needed to say, because that's what a true friend is. And I know tons of people who are funny, easy to get along with, fun to hang out with, but those are not the qualities that make someone a real friend. Real friends are the ones who have something to teach me through their example. And Elijah for sure does this for me, but I really have also learned a lot from Angie Frame. So she's the campus pastor at our Midlothian campus, and she's on our senior teaching team. You've probably seen her amazing messages. And she is a true friend to me, and she is always leading me by her example. She's the best example I can think of to show me what it means to be a woman in ministry, an excellent communicator, someone who can command the room and respect of others in a way that doesn't bulldoze the room. And she tells me what I need to hear in a way that she knows I'm going to receive it best, even when it can be uncomfortable for the both of us. And she's willing to learn from me too. She will listen when I have an idea, and she'll entertain it without instantly shutting it down. And we'll talk through a little bit about what this new proposed plan is together so she can really get an idea of what I'm thinking. See, Angie, through her example, has been a real friend to me. And hopefully in your life, you can look at your friends and see some examples for you. Maybe you have a mentor or someone who's helped you through something. But even if you don't, Jesus modeled real friendships throughout his time on earth in so many ways. See, when Jesus chose to befriend people that not everyone would have chose to befriend, he showed us that real friends choose each other wisely. And when God used Nathan to talk to David, God showed us that real friends show each other grace. And when Jesus mourned with his friends over the death of Lazarus, he showed us that real friends comfort each other. But there's one more story that we are going to look at today to see what Jesus can teach us through his example. Now, we've already talked about how Jesus recruited the 12 people to be his disciples or his students. And those 12 men weren't just Jesus' students, though. They were his friends. And Jesus specifically chose them to be close to him during his time on earth. And they did everything together, and ultimately they learned from Jesus' example. They watched the way that he interacted with them and with others and with God. See, Jesus was not exclusive. He interacted with everyone with candor, with care, and with compassion. They learned from Jesus' words. They listened when he spoke to the biggest of crowds, to small groups of people, to his family members, to them, his closest friends. So what happens when Jesus is a real friend and helps his disciples grow? Well, we can find this story in Mark that says, "They left that place and passed through Galilee. Jesus did not want anyone to know where they were because he was teaching his disciples. He said to them, 'The Son of Man is going to be delivered into the hands of men. They will kill him, and after 3 days he will rise.' But they did not understand what he meant, and they were afraid to ask him about it. They came to Capernaum. When he was in the house, he asked them, 'What were you arguing about on the road?' But they kept quiet because they were on their way to host, because they had argued about who was the greatest. Sitting down, Jesus called the 12 and said, 'Anyone who wants to be first must be the very last, and the servant of all.' He took a little child whom he placed among them. Taking the child into his arms, he said to them, 'Whoever welcomes one of these little children in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me does not welcome me, but the one who sent me.'" See, the story is a little bit funny, right? I mean, the disciples have been following Jesus for quite some time now, and they should understand how he does things. But clearly by this section that we just read, they don't. So first of all, Jesus tries to tell them that he is going to die and rise from the dead. Like casual. No, that is big news, and they have no idea what he is talking about. Instead of asking Jesus for clarification, like, when are you going to die? How's it going to happen? How you feeling about it? Kind of like, what's happening? They straight up just change the subject and start arguing about which one of them is the best disciple. Now, Jesus knows exactly what's going on, but he gives them a chance to be honest by asking, "So what are you guys talking about?" Clearly, the disciples still had some growing to do. So Jesus used this moment that we just read to help them grow by giving them some gentle but direct correction. And although he taught them a good lesson here, what I really want to focus on is how he taught them. In this conversation that we read in Mark, Jesus' friends needed to be corrected. But Jesus didn't make fun of them or embarrass them or make them feel inferior to him because Jesus loves his friends and he just wanted to help them. But if we look at some other examples of moments when Jesus helped his friends grow, we're going to start to see some patterns. Jesus invited them to grow by living out what they were learning. Jesus didn't just spend all of his time teaching his disciples facts or theories about God. Instead, he showed them how to grow by challenging them to love God within others with everyday choices. Jesus invited them to grow in community. And while I'm sure he had plenty of one-on-one conversations with his disciples, most of the interactions that we see in the Bible are as a group. And that's because we grow best when we have others growing alongside of us. And Jesus asks us to be patient while we do so. And it would be great if our spiritual growth had like a finish line so we could know and we're all done, but it doesn't. Our growth is never really complete because learning to live out our faith is a lifelong process. And that's okay with Jesus. He is patient with us, just like he was patient with his disciples. And when Jesus was on earth, he never sat down and wrote letters to his disciples, but we do have some letters from the leaders of the church who came after Jesus and continued spreading his message all over the world. And one of those letters is 1 Timothy, written by Paul to a man named Timothy. Kind of like Jesus modeled with his disciples, leaders like Paul often found young leaders to train and mentor, both in the ways of Jesus and in how to be a leader. And at the end of his letter, Paul leaves Timothy with all sorts of reminders and encouragements and challenges to help Timothy grow. And in this letter, Paul helps Timothy to grow by encouraging him to run away from evil things, to live a life of integrity, to keep growing in his faith, and to help others grow too. Now, this advice may have been given specifically to Timothy, but it's also advice for all of us today, and it's super applicable. Like Jesus did for his disciples, like Paul did for Timothy, and like Paul encourages Timothy to do for others, we all have room to grow. We also all have room to help each other grow, too. So when we talk about real friendship, we really cannot forget this part. Even when it's difficult or a little bit awkward, real friends help each other grow. We can do that by encouraging them, being brave enough to have the tough conversations, being humble when someone needs to have a tough conversation with you, and by being a rock for your friends in need. We all need real friends to help each other grow.